My name is Seraphina, the Masked Lady. I was once human. Since then, I have lived many lives. I have been loved and reviled, adored and despised, been the child of a poor prostitute and a courtesan revered by thousands. When I was a child, a stranger with no face offered me the ability to move between the worlds. Since then, my every death has led to a new life. I once had a true love. He was ripped away from me when I was murdered in the 18th century. I search for him still. In the meantime, I walk in the shadows behind the universe, visiting realms both exquisite and terrible and bringing back stories and rhymes to amaze the mind and enchant the ear. Through my YouTube channel, I send the stories out into the world, hoping that my true love will hear them and reply. Hoping, if he does not, that I will find in the other souls who listen kindred spirits to help ease the pain. What of you, stranger? Did you come here tonight seeking a mystery? Do you hunger for a spark of excitement, for the dark thrill of fear? Will you listen as my tales unfold, knowing that some may very well take on lives of their own? Consider, stranger, whether you have the courage to walk between the worlds with Seraphina, the Masked Lady. Hello there, my delicious darlings. Thank you for joining me again tonight. How is the world treating you this week? I have been a little gloomy recently. Summer has been bright and beautiful, but I can feel autumn coming around the bend, and I'm not entirely sure I'm ready for it. Perhaps that is why I was attracted to this week's somewhat somber subject. While poring through more books of poetry, I came across a beautiful verse about loss and love, and I'm happy to confess that it touched me so profoundly that I cried. Then I started thinking about endings and new beginnings, and before I knew it, this episode had formed in my mind. As I said before, the poems, all of them beautiful, deal with a sad subject. So I completely understand if you would prefer to miss this one and rejoin us next week. For the rest of you, please join me for verses about loss, love, and healing. I dedicate this episode to all the loved ones I have known and lost, and especially to Lorraine, Chris, Grandad, and Babs. Remember, at the beginning and end of everything, there is always hope. The promise. Tomorrow is not promised when people pass away, and their broken-hearted loved ones come to the church to pray. They speak no word of petty ills cherished throughout the years, the little words and angry jabs that once loosed floods of tears. Instead, in gentle memory, resentment is let fall, like sodden clouds, unveiling the light that shone behind all. So, there's a blessing to be found when grief hems either side. But how much greater would it be were we to all decide not to depend on tomorrow to wipe our hurts away, but to forgive each dart while there is savor in today? How much more grace than when we bid farewell in floods of tears would be were we to embrace love inside the living years? What greater riches when, instead of squandered days and nights, we were to fill up every hour with simple, warm delights? Thus, driving out upon the downs or walking by the sea, we'd set up a store of the jewels that we call memory, more precious still when time our beloved elders move along. For while we can call them to mind, they are not really gone. And for ourselves, we need not fear if our time is cut short. For even if we're called to attest in immortal court what we have done to earn admittance to the realm above, we can tell them we spent our days in mercy and in love. So, should today prove the last tomorrow that we will see, we will not mourn. We hid all care, no other eyes to see. And though the coming parting yet may cause soft sighs to fall, yet love will live eternally within us. Love is all. Don't think I'm gone. Don't think I'm gone. I may be quiet now, my rush and shout and joking wrapped in sleep. I may not argue as was once my wont. I may not find the time for hide and seek. But I am here, although you do not see me. So, if you think of me, don't shed a tear. For nothing more infinite can be than love. And that immortal love calls me back here. If I should die, don't think that I have fled this day because I don't wish to see you, or that I no longer value your presence. Believe me, sweet, my love for you is true. I cherish you as much as when we first met. Indeed, the love I feel for you is more than what I felt when first our fingertips brushed. The thought of losing you I do deplore. I would have stayed had body not surrendered. Had God given me license to remain, I would have lingered to warm and protect you, and not given a jot for earthly pain. Now I have gone to peace, don't be downhearted, for life awaits you full of hope and joy, and new love too when time has made you ready. Don't hesitate that great gift to enjoy. We are born to earth to love one another, and I, watching you, will only be glad. For you are my heart, my dearest beloved, and if you're happy, I cannot be sad. To the child who passed away. For our babies who have gone on ahead. Never believe that Mummy does not love you, although I still take joy in every day. It does not mean that I have ceased to miss you, or been heartbroken that you passed away. Though I may laugh beneath the summer sunshine, I haven't torn your memory from me. I could not breathe or think, talk or remember if I did not hold you safe inside me. So, if I grasp one moment of rare beauty, it doesn't mean I have forgotten you. If I'd had the choice, you'd have stayed forever, and I'd have had decades to adore you. Sadly, I could not choose. So your pain ended, though I wished I could run away with you, beyond mortality and hurt and sorrow. Never doubt that my love for you is true. You are my darling girl, the true heart of me. I'll hold you closer, tighter, better, true. When through heaven, the two of us walk freely, and live our joy the endless days all through. Grief. I sat in your room yesterday, just to be close to you. I touched your bedspread and your toys. I cried and thought of you. I can still feel you in my heart. You dwell inside my soul. But till you're in my arms again, I never shall be whole. Granddad. You had a kind of magic. As a child, I never could quite tell from where it came. Hidden in chain oil and bicycle clips, it lived nonetheless, even without a name. Now looking back, I think it might have been in small tokens of love and kindness done, in sweet biscuits and sugar sandwiches, and days spent laughing wild. You were the one who first gave me the keys to magic lands, 2 orcs and 2 lions with golden manes that I loved, so I read till they dissolved and had to find them over and again. You were the one who built music with hands that, always busy, yet still found the time to sort for us fountains of gleaming coins, making us little ones rich before time. You built up grand estates peopled with lives, recorded in images and in books, for all we visitors to marvel at, and smile in wonder at each brief snatched look. I know that when I was too young to know it, still you guarded and cared and thought of me. And now I am so grateful for the times, from the first to the last one beneath a tree, gleaming with lights, for I have loved you long, and longer still than that. And though apart, as we have sometimes been before in the flesh, I will hold you always inside my heart. Why? Why all this hurt? From whence comes all this pain? And what did I, poor mortal, ever do to deserve torture that awakes each day and dogs each breath and hour till I rue the very air that woke me? Can it be that I have done wrong in some other life, and for those sins, forgotten and unknown, was deemed as fitting for this awful strife? And what could it have been, this most dreadful sin, to merit leaden limbs that ache so deep, to call exhaustion that lasts years not days, and cannot be contained even by sleep? I do not think that God could be so cruel, and yet sometimes I could howl at the sky. Oh, why do you allow this hurt? So deep that I wish from my flesh to fly. Do you not know how much it weighs me down, driving from me hopes and lovers and friends, and will not leave even breath to make love? Do you not hear me weep when I see them, who I love above all, cry out for time, for help or care or for body's caress, knowing there is no way I can give them the simple things that would their daytimes bless? Oh, why this pain? Could anyone deserve to spend a lifetime tortured on the rack, their hurt invisible, lonely, and worst, denied by all? Would not such a heart crack? Raging. I've heard often that it matters to fight, that when the tide turns on us, we should rage, should set our feet on the declining stones, and like canoe to defy the rushing waves. Don't get me wrong, to stamp, to shout and yell can numb a hurt and chide away a strain, can ease the aching chasm of regret, and tug a mind away from flaring pain. But rage in time, a brush fire in the soul, burns hotter than the pain it seeks to hide, and, held too tightly, eats away the heart that called it up a healing to provide. I do not say that we must face with calm all the hurt arising when life is cruel, when it takes lovers, fathers, siblings, friends, until each breath becomes a fight, a duel. But once the rage has run, then let it pass. And if you cannot, then let time forgive our oft callous but still beautiful world. And though you fight, remember still to live. Saint Christopher. A scrap of gold inside a dented box. It has no value if measured by weight. A thin gold chain curling against dark velvet. Upon the pendant stamped a tiny date. It seems like nothing, yet that glinting favor carries upon its back a history. For those fair hands that first in joy caressed it, reach out to me across a century. For she, the long-lost matriarch, has blessed it. And from her gift, so many other she's have cherished it, worn it through joy and sorrow, until it was passed on in dear release. And still, when it lies glinting in my poor hand, I forget time and fate and cease of breath. Reach back in time and squeeze great-grandma's hand, for that moment, eclipsing fickle death. The path of lights. The lost ones tread the path of light. They know it shows the way to the warm place where all may rest upon the close of day, and there they return to the one who ever smiling glows and waits in peace to welcome home each weary, wandering soul. Immortality. We hope we are exempt from death. Each person feels in their chest that immortality, but time creeps on and in its steady paces proves that it can outstrip exultant we. Yet on we go still undeterred and hopeful, holding a truth that death himself has missed, that love, even the reaper's blade, can transcend, and writes us immortal on heaven's list. between green trees. One day, I walked alone in a green wood. The world left behind me with all its woes, with all its fear and loss, with all its stress. I sought a place where only quiet grows. And as I sat there between the growing trees, I felt my soul at last begin to be. Simply to be, not fret, nor struggle, nor strive. And felt myself at last to be alive. So, that was our episode. What did you think of it? As I warned, it was a little longer than some of our others. Still, once I started collecting the verses together, I noticed that they formed a journey that would have felt incomplete had all of them not been included. Did you notice the poem about the loss of health? What did you think of the one about rage? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Most of us have trod such a path at one time. From the immediate anguish of loss to the tears and anger, then into memory and affection and, finally, the ability to step hesitantly back into the ebb and flow of life. For that reason, as awful as loss is, it also levels the playing field of humanity. Because we have all had to bid goodbye to someone we loved, we cannot imagine each other as completely different. Sometimes we can even find a connection in that commonality. If you made it all the way to the end of this episode, and, of course, I will not be upset if you have not. I know it has been particularly intense. Please type the word hope in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed the show, please spare a moment to click like, subscribe, or follow. It only takes a moment, but it means a great deal to me. Well, I am going to go and watch some cartoons. Yes, they may be silly, but they are lively and comforting, and my heart needs a little lifting tonight. I will return next week with something a little easier on the soul. Until then, hug those you love, be kind to yourself, and sleep well, my delicious darlings.